What was it like being an interracial child in a small segregated town of around 572 people?
Well, actually, during that time, I never actually thought about it. I never saw my father as being a white man or my mother as being a black female. I just was a child with two parents.
Well, I have a video of you attempting to desegregate a local school. Could you just kind of tell me what was going through your mind that day?
That day, my main focus was to enter that school and attend classes. However, deep in the back of my mind, I knew that probably wouldn't happen. I was afraid because the car that was in front of us had turned around and went back. And when we went on, as we was entering, we saw the rocks and tomatoes and eggs and everything getting thrown at us. So of course I was frightened. And I was sitting in the middle of the front seat between the driver of the car and another passenger would end up being your grandfather. I ended up marrying him. So it was very frightening, especially after our driver got pulled out of the car and was being beaten. And we decided, well, we'll take off and try to get into the school anyway. And we was getting out of the car and we was standing there trying to make a decision about how to get across the street into the school. And the next thing I knew, I was being picked up by this big man and thrown in this little ditch. And I got up and I was walking across the road, but the police came and locked us all up. Well, actually, he placed us all in his car.
So, why did you try so hardly to gain roots in a community that every day showed you it didn't really want you there?
Because that's where I was born. That was my home. That was my family. I mean, we are a part of the human race. We got to belong somewhere. We belong where we are born, where our family is. But I think in the back of my mind, I always was thinking, I got to get out of here. There got to be more to the world than just this little part that I'm living on.
Is there any other lasting words or any other things you feel the need to say about your past or present or just anything that you think is important for us to know?
No, I'm glad that I came up in the era I did. Because I experienced and I witnessed when there was segregation and I saw it evolve and I became a part of what is integration, and it's supposed to be equal rights for all mankind, even though it's definitely not. However, it is different. And I didn't realize that segregation was as it was when I was a kid because I didn't see black and white. Believe it or not, when the first day I joined the movement, my sister and I went to Crawfordsville, Georgia. And when we got there, we saw some of her friends sitting in front of the wash house, the laundromat. And we go over to talk to them. And they were sitting on they was having a sit-in. And we were asking them what they were doing, and they was telling us that they were doing a sit-in. On the signs of the laundromat, on one of the doors, there was two doors. On one of the doors it said white. On the other door it said color. So me being as naive as I was at that time, I thought the white sign meant you wash the white clothes in that door, and the colored sign meant you wash the colored clothes in there. I had no idea. I had white friends I played with. Some of my father's friends' children. We all played together. We didn't know that there was any differences until we got a little bit older and the school bus issue came in. And when I got on that white bus that day, and my white friend I had been playing with all those years wouldn't let me sit down next to her. But now I look back to that and I realize she was doing as society expected her to do because of the color of her skin. It wasn't what she felt in her heart. because she and I had been friends. We had played together, and we never said anything to each other about black or white. We were just two kids playing. But all of a sudden, we a few years older, and we realized we were on the same bus getting shipped out of town to an all-white school. And since I'm the black girl on the bus, she's sitting there with all her white friends, and she don't know what to do. She can't allow me to sit next to her because everybody on the bus gonna hate her. But she didn't think that I would, and I didn't. I guess you could possibly say I was her real, true friend. Because I knew, at that time, I just about knew what she was going through. She was doing as she was expected to do, not as she wanted to do. If she had done what she had wanted to do, not only would I have been shunned, she would have too.
Do you think all the civil rights movement and everything that happened was worth it?
Some people in your generation appreciate it, and they are appreciative of it. Then you have others, they appreciate it, but they're not appreciative. They don't show that they are. It's just like the ones that use the N-word to each other now. They don't know how that hurt me every time I hear it. Because every time I hear that, I think about all the times I was drugged across the road by some police officer and getting my legs skint, my hands or arms skint, was in vain. We have come a long way. But we haven't overcome. Martin Luther King made the words, "We shall overcome someday." To some extent we have, but not to the extent that he wanted. Yes, it was worth it. If I could turn back time, there's a few other things I would like to do to help it change.